$49. It's also a perfect time of year to get your air ducts cleaned this month with $100 off your air duct cleaning. And air duct cleaning will help alleviate allergies and asthma. You will enjoy less dust, lower energy bills, and your home will stay cleaner longer. Schedule your appointment today at ZeroResMinnesota.com or by calling 9520-RES and asking for the AM 950 special. Zero Res.
Over 50 years ago, The Exorcist shocked the world. Now from the mind behind the new Halloween series, David Gordon Green, comes the Exorcist believer. Victor Fielding, haunted by his wife's loss in a Haitian earthquake, raises his daughter Angela alone. When Angela and her friend Catherine vanish and return without memory of what happened, Victor confronts unspeakable evil and seeks help from Chris McNeil from the original Exorcist movie. Join us for an advanced screening on October 3rd at AMC Rosedale Theater. Tune in to GhostBox Radio weeknights at 10 p.m. or visit am950radio.com for ticket information. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 60, Thursday partly sunny with a high near 70, and Friday partly cloudy with a high near 79. Don't just settle for what's in the cupboard. Elevate your meals with premium oils and vinegars from Vinaigrette. They offer the finest selection of extra virgin olive oils, balsamic vinegars, fused extra virgin olive oils, white balsamic vinegars, and wine vinegars. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis. More at vinaigrettemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And as the voice said before the episode started, we are giving, and that's Brett's voice, by the way, as you all know, we're giving away tickets for the new Exorcist film. That is actually an advanced screening next Tuesday, and that's going to be at the Rosedale AMC. If you want tickets, if you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead, put into the chat, free movie, RFEE movie. Or if you're too shy for Facebook, you can send me an email over at comment@ghostboxradio.com. That's comment@ghostboxradio.com. We're giving away tickets, giving them away all week. It's an opportunity to see a sequel or reboot or whatever it is to The Exorcist, which I think is, in my opinion, the original at least, is one of the scariest films I've ever seen. Even as a 20-year-old, when I saw that, when they did the re-release, I was like 23, 24, 25. 26, 27, who knows? But regardless, I had to sleep with the lights on. I mean, that it was pretty incredible stuff. Let's talk about some more incredible stuff. I have with me tonight a good friend, someone I consider a good friend, and we've talked many times. We actually got to meet each other, even though we live nowhere near each other. And he has written 2 books. He does something in the paranormal that, to my knowledge, no one else does. And that is, has basically his paranormal team is his whole family. They've been doing this for many, many years. He has documented their journey very well, which we're going to be talking a lot about tonight. And there's just a lot of good positivity. And I am just really thrilled to have on with me tonight Mr. Bobby J Gallo, who is most current book, Family Spirits 2, is out now, with a foreword by somebody who I think is a tremendous writer, basically, the modern day Laura Ingalls Wilder, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't think of a writer off the top of my head. Bobby, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Thank you, Greg. It's great to be here. And you didn't finish your thought there. You wrote the foreword to my second book.
I did.
And it was a great honor for me, and you just did a phenomenal job.
Well, and I haven't read beyond that, quite frankly. I thought this is good enough. I mean, what else, what more in the intervening pages is possibly going to be that I would be interested in reading? No, I was very honored. I truly was honored when you asked me to do that. And I had a number of people read it. Like, does this sound like somebody intelligent writing? Because I just don't know anymore. Because it was truly an honor, and a lot of good people have written into that book as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we did something different with that book. A lot of people are probably not familiar with my first book, which was Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters, which was
Yep.
basically
Yep.
it was a paranormal primer followed by an in-depth explanation of the evidence that my family and I have gathered over 60 investigations going up and down the East Coast of some of the most haunted locations in
Mhm.
America. And we wanted to do something. It did very well, by the way. The first book hit number 3
Yep.
on Amazon in the adventure travel category, and actually sold more copies in the UK than it did in the United States,
Oh,
because we have a very large following over there. But we wanted to do something different with the second book. And when I was batting around ideas, my wife, Renee, she had the idea immediately. She goes, "We need to start telling people why we're doing this in the first place."
mhm.
Because, as you know, and we actually even touched upon this before the show started, there's a lot of people that think we're weird. When we do the paranormal, and they don't realize the importance of this work.
Yeah.
And even though it's important to us and important, to the grand scheme of things, there's also a lot of people in this field that don't take it seriously or are doing it for what we feel are all the wrong reasons. So that's really that was the theme of the second book.
And I do have to interject here that for those wondering, the conversation before the show wasn't, "Hey, Bobby, you and your family are weird." That wasn't what I was saying here. But the question was, though, there's people who see young, children doing investigations. People have different varied views on that.
Right.
And, you have not only stuck to your guns about it, but you've also made a big web series about it as well. For those who don't like it, then you're flaunting it in front of all of them. But the main takeaway here, I think, at least when it comes to that, is that this isn't Bobby or Renee being like, "Oh, we got to go on these investigations and bring the kids along." It's the other way around, isn't it?
Absolutely. In fact, the kids were the main motivator behind this all starting in the first place, because I was actually doing paranormal investigation as far back as 1989, and
Yeah.
luckily, because I have that on video, I can actually prove it. And that was before the term paranormal investigator was ever coined. Back then, we were called psychic investigators. This
Okay.
was psychic phenomenon. This was not paranormal, because that the word just wasn't even invented at that point. But I had gotten out of it for many years, and I started a family. I actually became a professional magician, toured around the
Right.
country, cruise ships, Vegas, the whole 9 yards, a lot of television appearances. But my kids, as they were growing up, never knew that I was a paranormal investigator. So I'll use the modern terminology, if you will.
Mhm.
And one day they found this brand new show on TV called Ghost Adventures.
Mm.
And I'm sure a lot of people may have heard of that one.
May have heard that one.
Yeah, yeah, once or twice anyway.
Right.
And they were absolutely enthralled with these 3 random guys that were going out to hunt for ghosts. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this the entire time going, I cannot believe this is almost identical to what I was doing back in the late 80s and early 90s
Mhm.
with a group that we had called the Psy Guys. Um, and basically we were about 10 episodes in, and I said, well, I guess this is as good of a time as any to tell them. And I turned to them and I said, hey, kids, daddy used to do that too.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, the world completely stopped. And it was like that moment in the movie Spy Kids where the little boy says, my parents aren't cool enough to be spies. They couldn't believe their father was actually a ghost hunter for real at
Yeah.
one time in his life.
Right.
So immediately, They wanted to go ghost hunting. No fear, no hesitation, no anything. And I didn't really, it was so many years. It was like almost 20 yeyears later. All of the equipment had changed. Even the cameras, the video, everything was different. So I said, okay, let me get some current gear and let's go out and do something. And all I wanted to do was get one orb, one EVP, because, back then orbs were big, by the way. I wanted to get anything just so that they had a piece of evidence. And then I figured we would call it quits after that. But what ended up happening was absolutely astounding. I found out that my entire family, my wife and my two daughters, had psychic talents that I never knew existed. And they were able to attract spirits, and the evidence we were getting on virtually every outing was absolutely outstanding. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell people this. It was as good or better than what these guys were getting on TV. And everything we were getting, we know, was real, was genuine.
Yep.
EVPs, full body apparitions, just anything and everything you could imagine we were capturing on virtually every investigation.
I believe it. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you've had incredible. I keep wanting to say luck. It's not luck. You know what I mean? But you've had incredible situations where you're getting some really good evidence. I find too, with the stuff that we've been doing, that all these programs that they take 2 weeks to shoot something, and the shows don't have a whole lot to them. Meanwhile, Bobby and his family are out, and they're doing a lot. And what do you think the reason is for that?
I think it's the energy of the kids.
Yeah.
Basically, first of all, we had a lot of ground rules. Like, we wouldn't antagonize. We didn't like that style. So we would go out and we would be very respectful. And I truly do believe at this point, all this time later, and looking back in retrospect, I believe the spirits were being accommodating because we were so respectful, because we had genuine intentions, and intention in this business is everything, folks. It's everything. Why are we doing it? And we would go out with one video camera. This was one perspective, because, our theory, our philosophy was, this is reality television. This is not fake stuff. There's not multiple camera shoots, and there's no retakes. Either we get the evidence or we don't. And back then we were using a state-of-the-art camera. So even if people, go back and look at our early episodes, it does look a little primitive, but that was the technology back then. It wasn't crystal clear. It wasn't real sharp. It was, we were using a really expensive Sony Handycam with night shot. And sometimes we still use that today because it gives us that old feel.
Yeah.
But, and that's why a lot of people, they'll look at it and they'll say, oh, well, this looks like some, father taking home movies. Not really, but I could see where they would come across saying that, because, the way we shot it, we weren't going for showbiz, folks. We were going for, here's the evidence. We are out to prove the afterlife, and this is what we got.
Yeah. And I there is something to be said that you want stuff to look as good as possible. And we know that there's groups out there who are putting lots of money into equipment and stuff, and handling it a little bit differently. But at the same time, what do you want to see at the end of the day? I mean, and even though we say that about your stuff, it's not that it's not polished. I've seen it. I've seen your stuff. So it's not like it's, I think we're actually doing it in a justice, talking about it the way that we are, because you have the proof and you have the numbers to show that you have a following, and that where can they currently find your web series, by the way?
Basically, we have a link tree that has our entire paranormal world on it, and that's www.ghosthunter.ws, which stands for web series. So it's ghosthunter.ws. And yeah, I get what you're saying, and I'm maybe being a little bit too humble, because we have developed an enormous following. Let's face it. And they love the family dynamic, the dynamic of the family who ghost hunts. But I will tell people this: look, if you're looking for what I like to sometimes call para fluff, you could find that anywhere. YouTube is full of that.
Yes.
But if you really want evidence, if you want to see real hardcore paranormal evidence, our web series is for you. Our moniker has always been Real Family, Real Life, Real Ghosts. Yeah. Because when you see some of the evidence, you can draw no other conclusion, in my opinion. And that's why Family Spirits did so well. The first book is 250 pages. It's a thick book.
Yeah.
And it details all of our investigations. So if you do buy that book, you can actually go to the web series and follow along. It's actually like a companion to the web series. If you read something in the book and you would say, oh, I would have loved to have seen that happen, you actually can. Or vice versa. If you watch the web series and you want to know what it was like behind the scenes, you go to the book, look up that episode, and read about it.
How many episodes are you at now?
Right now, we're up around 80 episodes, 60 in the first book, and then we chronicle some in the second book, Family Spirits 2, that you did the foreword to.
Yeah.
And but that wasn't the main focus of the second book, because we actually brought in a lot of luminaries in the paranormal field.
Yeah.
And we have some stunning interviews in the second book.
Yeah.
Along with some personal things that I left out of the first book because emotionally I wasn't ready to share them, but I did in the second book. And also between the first book and the second book, I had an NDE, a near-death experience, and I put that in the second book as well.
And I do know, like, I remember that the first book, and at the time we first talked, it was 60 episodes. So at 20 more episodes, that's quite the feat. Before we go to break, Paranormal Gateway Paratalk says that they love the book, which is good. Obviously, that's really good. But did you like the foreword? No. That's all that matters to me.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, because you didn't outright veto it. You just like, all right, it's finally here. Bobby, why don't we do this? Let's go ahead. Let's take our first break here. When we come back, we're going to delve into more of the books. We're going to delve into more of the paranormal style that Bobby is working with his family. A lot to talk about. Put your questions in the chat. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
This Halloween, visit and investigate one of the most haunted houses in Minnesota, the Boyd House, located in Boyd, Minnesota, just 2 hours southwest of the Twin Cities. Other people who have investigated the house heard audible, disembodied voices, seen shadows and apparitions, and so much more. Book your overnight investigation at BoydHouse217.com. No need for a hotel. You could stay in the house if you dare.
Over 50 years ago, The Exorcist shocked the world. Now from the mind behind the new Halloween series, David Gordon Green, comes The Exorcist Believer. Victor Fielding, haunted by his wife's loss in a Haitian earthquake, raises his daughter Angela alone. When Angela and her friend Catherine vanish and return without memory of what happened, Victor confronts unspeakable evil and seeks help from Chris McNeil from the original Exorcist movie. Join us for an advanced screening on October 3rd at AMC Rosedale Theater. Tune in to GhostBox Radio weeknights at 10 p.m. or visit am950radio.com for ticket information.
Ghost Stories and Beyond returns to Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka October 4th at 6:30 p.m. Join Shar Savoy and myself, Greg Bakun, as we host our special guest, Tom Maurer, who is the Minnesota State Director of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. So come on out and ask lots of questions about UFOs, UAPs, and of course, aliens. It's $10 a ticket to join in, and we'll see you October 4th at 6:30 p.m. at Billy's in Anoka. Don't forget, burgers will be half price.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
For those of you in the know who might remember when I was doing this program weekly, every time that Patrick, who is one of the producers here, you'd hear his voice. I'd call it Patrick AM or Patrick 950 because his voice is everywhere. I think I might be the next Patrick AM here because that last break, pretty much every commercial had my voice in it. Whether you all like it or not, that's immaterial. It's just that was very much Greg 950. Maybe we'll just call the station that going forward. I'm not quite sure. So I also want to point out here that this Saturday, September 30th, I will be at Paraconnection 2023. It's a paranormal expo. We talked about it last night with Russ and Mark. It's going to be at the St. Cloud Armory in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I'm going to have a table set up there. Shar Savoy is going to be there as well. You may remember Shar from such programs as this one. And we're going to be talking, doing a presentation Saturday as well at 2:30. $7 to get in. It's going to be a great opportunity. It's going to be a great time. I think if you want to meet more of the paranormal community, this is a great way to do it. Now, speaking of the paranormal community, we've got Bobby J Gallo here. Now, Bobby, I'm going to set the scene for you, okay?
Okay.
A crowded room. And in Connecticut, and I'm just looking, and all of a sudden, my eyes, they lock with yours. And we found each other at the Warren Convention. Huh? That could be book 3, Family Spirits 3, The Return of Greg. I don't know. But I didn't expect to see you there, actually.
It was, and I'm going to tell you, that was an unbelievable experience. And, some mutual friends of ours with the talk show were right next to us.
Yes.
During the convention. And my wife and I were not prepared for what was going to happen. We got a booth at this convention. It was the first one. And we figured, let's bring the books and see if we could sell a few copies. As soon as the doors opened, our booth was flooded with people who knew who we were, who watched our web series. There was literally a line of people. And this live broadcast, which was right next to us, they couldn't believe it. They didn't know who we were. And they watched this phenomenon happen. We literally sold out of every single book during that convention, including my dog-eared copy that I didn't want to part with. We sold everything. We sold the table, and my wife and I were totally shocked. We weren't prepared for it, but it did, it was, we've developed this following over the years, but sometimes you really don't know how big it is until something like that. And even just recently at a Turkey Hill, which is like a 7-Eleven type of thing out here in Pennsylvania, I walked in and one of the associates at the counter knew who I was and recognized me. So that's some things you're not prepared for.
No, absolutely. And I remember that they're trying to buy the clothes off your back. I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, it was just like, I don't know if I want all of that, but hey, whatever. And it's funny because we were able to catch up. And then the folks at the radio show, Mr. David Taylor and Christy Grissom, I mean, we became really good friends after that.
Awesome people.
It was really incredible. And it's one of those great, we all went out for dinner that night. And I don't think I laughed so hard in my life. We had such a great time.
We had a blast. We really did. Yep.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was getting a haircut at the really, fine establishment known as Great Clips. And you shouldn't be surprised if you see me, right? I was like, that's Great Clip. They're actually really good over there. I've been going there for years, but I had this stylist, and she was just kind of staring at me, and they're like fumbling around. She has shears, and she's fumbling around with them, and I'm like, are you okay? And she's just like, she just says to me, I know who you are. And I'm like, who am I? I mean, what do you mean? And she's just like, I follow you on Facebook. I listen to your show. And it was like, okay, well, that's cool. Is this going to affect like you cutting my hair, or are you going to put gashes in me? Because she was fumbling, and it's frightening. I'm sorry. It's frightening if you're trying to get a haircut and like she's knocking over the thing that has all the combs in it, that has the liquid in it and stuff. It's like, I don't think she was nervous about me. I think she's just nervous disposition, and then the added layer of me just kind of took it a little bit over the top or something. But I mean, it is interesting how that works sometimes. And people get to know you, and especially the work that you and I do in the sense of media, right? That people have this idea of how we are. And I try, and I think you do too, based on what I've seen of you, Renee, the family, that there shouldn't be any difference between what you're hearing, the Greg you're hearing, the Bobby you're watching versus the real people.
I agree with that. And frankly, if somebody meets me on the street, I'm exactly the same as I am right now. So I agree. There's no pretense here, and there's certainly no ego, because I do not consider myself a celebrity in any sense of the word. In fact, I got shirts printed as a joke that say "semi-famous ghost hunter," because if anything, I might be semi-famous. I wouldn't consider myself famous by any stretch.
I'm semi-sweet. That's where I'm
There
at.
you go.
I'm semi-sweet. But if the difference is, of course, if they met you in person, you'd probably do a magic trick for them.
I would, because I was a professional magician for 15 years.
So, okay, I was going to ask this last segment. You took about you said like a 20-year break in paranormal investigating, right?
Right.
How was it getting back into it? Was it flawless? Was there like, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing I had to do was familiarize myself with current techniques. But I mean, I will tell you that, what I was doing 20 years prior was not all that different than what these guys were doing on TV. It's just that we were using, a pocket cassette recorder, 35 millimeter camera, a candle, a key on a piece of string that acted as a pendulum, and one of those big VHS recorders that go over your shoulder. Amazing. I mean, that's what we used. But other than that, trying to connect with spirit, isn't all that much different. But I will say that some of the technology today, like some of the things that Gary Golka has developed, have really facilitated us in being able to make that connection with spirit when we're on an investigation. So, I do use some of that current equipment as well.
Now, I mean, I know that you heard the interview with Gary that I had done.
I did.
That Spirit Box, the Pro, that's a different level. That is truly.
He's a different level. I mean,
that's fair. Yes.
I mean, honestly, the man is a genius.
Yeah.
And his intention, his motivation behind what he does validates everything, in my opinion. He's not out there for the quick buck. This man is out there because he wants to reach the other side. And I believe that he's accomplished it. Right now, it's just a matter of refining it.
He's close. He's extraordinarily close, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Absolutely.
He is. And I know that's probably hurtful for other people who might be listening that are, they're doing some good work, creating their own devices and stuff. But, when we had him on and listening to Spirit tell him how they communicate with him through the box, that's a different level. That's something completely different.
Absolutely. Absolutely amazing.
Now,
Yeah.
for you, when you when you were using that old type equipment, the
Mhm.
analog tape, everything else, do you miss those? Do you ever bring those? I mean, you talked about the Sony camcorder, the Handycam, but
Correct.
do you ever bring in any of the other like cassettes, or do you ever think about trying 35 millimeter film? I know it's expensive, but I always feel like that there's room to kind of go back to some of those methods.
Well, I certainly use things like the pendulum still.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And things like that.
Hmm.
The only reason I don't use analog tape is because we've caught EVP on digital
Yep.
that is so mind-blowing that I just don't feel I can get that on an analog tape. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but when you find something that really works, you kind of tend to stick with it. And we're always trying new pieces of equipment and new theories and new gadgets. But boy, I'll tell you, I mean, we have an RCA handheld digital EVP recorder that has just performed over and above.
Hmm.
One of our most famous EVPs was caught by accident. I forgot to turn it off. And
Okay.
Renee and I are tripping over gravestones trying to get out of an old cemetery at night. And she's laughing, and you could hear me laughing, and she's laughing as we're trying not to trip over footstones. And all of a sudden, a female voice comes in out of nowhere that says, "Come back." And then 10 seconds later, "Don't leave now." As clear as we're talking now. So haunting that when people hear this EVP, they're up for a week if they're not a paranormal investigator. And that's an episode called "We Were Not Alone." So you can actually hear that EVP.
You know what we need to do, Bobby?
What's
If you're up for it, we should at some point soon, if you're up for it, have you back, and we could play some of the
Absolutely.
evidence that you have that I think that will entice people to check out the web series. The thing about some of that, for the lack of a better term, retro equipment, is that it's expensive and it's wasteful if you do it properly, right? Because
Right.
theoretically, if you're using analog tape, you should not, in my opinion, not only reuse the tape, but you should also not use side B. You
Right.
only do one side of it because the bleed through could happen and all that
Yes.
other stuff. And that's a lot of that's just a lot of work. And same with, it's so easy to take a burst on your camera
Right.
of something opposed to paying $30 for some film and then getting it developed, and same with the Polaroid and all that stuff. Now, Sam says about your EVP, she's like, I'd love to hear that EVP. So what episode? Because it's on an episode, right?
It is. The episode is entitled "We Were Not Alone." And you can go to ghosthunter.ws. You'll see a link for our web series right there. Right now, we have our whole web series on a platform called Odyssey, which we really love. And if you go to "We Were Not Alone," not only will you hear the EVP, but I play it several times, and I even amplify it through Audacity, so it's crystal clear. It is haunting. So that's the one.
Yeah, don't wait for us to have Bobby back on. Go check out the web series. Now, Bobby, do I have this right here?
You do.
Okay. So, folks, this is where you need to go. Ghosthunter.ws to
Yep.
check out the episodes. As we talk, I think we talked about this one of the last times that we spoke, because I had done a web series, and I had, you've done 80, I've done 4 episodes. So we're pretty close in terms of how many that we've each have done. How long does it take you to do post-production on that? I mean, your thoughts on like how do you want to actually, creating it and to have the look that you want it to have?
It's a really great question, because what I want a lot of people to know is that we edit out so much footage. And, You know, I would, because I try to get the episodes down to about 20 minutes because I just, you know, even though I want people to see the process and I want people to feel like they're really investigating with us, you know, you still don't want to have 2 hours of dead time, pun intended. You want to have a little bit of process, but then you want to get to the meat and potatoes where we actually get the communication. So I would say that it probably takes me about a week to do an episode, and that's even include. Now I try not to put a lot of music in the early days. I kind of did, but I've backed off on that a lot. But I do like to have a little bit of atmospheric music sometimes, just to bring people in. And you know, of course, we have, you know, really great titling, if I do say so myself. But most of the video proper is really going to bring you in where you're going to feel like you are standing right with us in the investigation. And once again, and I say this over and over and over, everything you see is real. When you see evidence, it's real. If you go to the episode called The Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott, you will see our most famous piece of evidence, which is a full body apparition. And you will not only see the apparition, but you're going to see how it was caught. My oldest daughter with an IR camera, infrared, taking shots and seeing this thing actually form next to me. And the entire time freaking out, saying, "Dad, you got to see this." And I'm trying to be Mr. Professional saying, no, honey, we'll do evidence review later. She's like, "No, you got to see this now." And you'll see a cloud form in front of Renee, sucking energy out of her EVP recorder, getting larger and larger until it's standing right next to me with a cloak, a collar. Absolutely stunning. It's called The Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott, and that's probably our most famous piece of evidence.
And once again, and we'll go over this a couple times, but you go to ghosthunter.ws to see all the episodes there, and don't just stop at the ones he's talking about. Give them all a watch. Why don't we do this, Bobby? I want to go ahead and take a break here. When we come back, I would really like to talk about the family dynamic, about doing investigations, some of the pitfalls that might be with it, but also what makes it work, as well. Talk more about family spirits too. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Ghost Stories and Beyond returns to Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka October 4th at 6:30 p.m. Join Char Savoy and myself, Greg Bakun, as we host our special guest, Tom Maurer, who is the Minnesota State Director of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. So come on out and ask lots of questions about UFOs, UAPs, and of course, aliens. It's $10 a ticket to join in, and we'll see you October 4th at 6:30 p.m. at Billy's in Anoka. Don't forget, burgers will be half price. This Halloween, visit and investigate one of the most haunted houses in Minnesota, the Boyd House, located in Boyd, Minnesota, just 2 hours southwest of the Twin Cities. Other people who have investigated the house heard audible, disembodied voices, seen shadows and apparitions, and so much more. Book your overnight investigation at BoydHouse217.com. No need for a hotel. You could stay in the house if you dare.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 60, Thursday partly sunny with a high near 70, and Friday partly cloudy with a high near 79. Take your meals to the next level with Vinaigrette's premium oils and vinegars. They have a huge selection so you'll never run out of options. Vinaigrette is the perfect choice for anyone who loves quality ingredients. Located in Minneapolis on 50th and Xerxes or at vinaigrettemn.com. Elevate your cooking game with Vinaigrette.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to have on psychic medium Miriam Fresh, who is fantastic. And we're going to be doing one-question readings. So if you have a question that you want answered, we're not doing mediumship. You're not talking about politics. We're talking about love, life, jobs, what's in your future. Join us tomorrow. We'll have the phone lines open as well. And you can, give us your question. Miriam is amazing, and I think you're going to get some great answers from her. I'm really excited to have her on tomorrow. Also, folks, don't forget we're giving away tickets to advanced screening for the new Exorcist film. That is going to be next Tuesday at the Rosedale AMC. And like I said, AM 950 are giving away some tickets. If you want to you got to be local to me, though. If you put in the comment section, free movie, or if you want to send me an email, comment at ghostboxradio.com, comment at ghostboxradio.com. We'll definitely hook you up with some tickets. It's going to be a great time. We have with us Mr. Bobby J Gallo. We've been talking about his web series. We've been talking about his books. Bobby, there's so much going on with you. Is there anything new that I don't know about that you're working on that you're able to share, or like any big news or anything good going on?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm working on my third book, but believe it or not, has nothing to do with the paranormal. I used to be the director of the world's largest website for professional magicians called the International Conservatory of Magic.
Nice.
And over the years, that was around the late 90s, we started doing that. Me and some fellow magicians, and it grew to be so large that we ended up having students from all over the world. But unfortunately, YouTube kind of killed it, because now you can go to YouTube and pretty much learn magic for free. So our membership kind of like faded away. But I had all of this material that I had written. The entire site was well over 2,000 pages of written material. And back then it was all text. So what I did was I took all of my material, and I'm going to be publishing that in an actual physical copy. And it's going to be called the Magic School Archives. And so if anybody wants to learn magic, or if anybody's already into magic and wants some, presentations, this is going to be a great book for you.
And when you get that done, whatever, please send information our way, and we'd be happy to remind people that's available as well.
Wonderful.
So we were talking about the family dynamic. And I mean, obviously, how many years have you been doing the web series? Or maybe let's just not say it that way. How many years have you been investigating with your family?
Around 2010, 2011 is when we started. It was 2012 when we really started putting all of these videos out on YouTube at the time. Now, as like I said, we have everything on Odyssey. So we're looking at over a decade. Back then, when we started the YouTube series, you could literally count the people doing it on one hand. Paranormal web series, that is. Now, of course, there's thousands. So we kind of get lost in the mix, but we do promote ourselves as being one of the original paranormal web series, and that's kind of documented. So we've been doing it quite a while.
Yeah. So and now your children are of what age?
Oh my goodness. Now we have a 22-year-old and a 26-year-old.
Oh my goodness, huh? Look at
Yeah.
that. All
And
grown
the
up.
youngest, Courtney, who was 8 years old in a lot of the videos, probably the majority of the videos, is now going to law school. So the moral of the story here is, folks, kids that are into the paranormal become lawyers. Just telling you that now.
Well, and I think also that she's ready to sue you if you make a lot more money off this web series and she doesn't get a cut. She's going to be watching you.
Oh, she's going to be my personal lawyer. So,
Yeah,
you know, but you know, I did want to say one
Yeah.
quick thing, and I'm going to hold up a copy of Family Spirits 2, which
Yeah.
is the one that you did the forward to.
Sure
And
did.
it's a really quick story. We were at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash back in July.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people in the audience know Brian Cano. He's a
Mhm.
verified paraceleb, haunted collector, paranormal caught on camera. He was actually sending his fans to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash to seek me out to buy this book.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. And so if you know, he's a very discerning guy. He really loves the book.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it was a great endorsement.
That is very good. Does the family still investigate?
Yes, in fact, we were supposed to investigate Sleepy Hollow, but they closed the burial ground at 4:30 in the afternoon after we got out of the Sleepy Hollow Paracon. So we were kind of bummed we didn't get to do that. However, we are still doing investigations. Some of the more recent ones at Menges Mill, PA, were amazing, absolutely amazing. We did one called Maze of Mystery, new episode, and House of Eyes, and I recommend everybody watch those. And Courtney, we did a battlefield investigation at Gettysburg, and we caught our third full body apparition, which is a mind blower.
And I'd have to think, doing these. I mean, anytime that you do an activity of any kind with you as a family, that just makes you all a stronger family. So this is obviously has done wonders for closeness of your family.
It has. And you know what? A lot of people, we used to get a lot of slings and arrows about bringing kids on paranormal investigation. But let me tell you what the result has been. I made a flippant comment about my daughter becoming a lawyer, but the reality is they've become very strong women because of this. They fear nothing. They don't have phasmophobia. They don't have spectrophobia. They are completely fearless, and I definitely attribute a lot of that to paranormal investigation.
If things didn't go well on the investigations, where there was a trend of them being attacked or anything, I would assume, or maybe not, that would have been the end of that family activity.
Well, one of us was. And it was a very frightening experience, and it derailed us for a few years, actually. And I don't write about it in either of the books, but attachments are very real if you're not taking the proper precautions.
Absolutely.
And I think at the time it happened, we were not taking the proper precautions. Now everything is pretty much completely different. I have ground rules for paranormal investigation, which I actually detail in my second book, Family Spirits 2. And I recommend everybody, if you are going to go on a paranormal investigation, get this book just for that, if nothing else.
I don't know if there's enough books out there that actually does talk about those sort of things. So many books, and this isn't a rip on people who do books that are just talking about the investigations and experiences, but you do need to have something. And this is for people, and Bobby, you and I run into this all the time when we do our events and stuff. There's people who don't know how to do it. It's not because they're new to it. They have no idea. We teach a class. I teach a class on it with Shar. We
Right.
talk about it, but anybody who is actually thinking about doing it, like I talk about the Boyd House, and they want to go out and check it out, why not get Bobby's book that explains how to do that? Because people do not understand what can happen to you until it happens, and that's too late at that point.
Absolutely. And, look, people get in this to have fun, and it can be fun. I'm not going to lie. It can be fun. People go, on roller coasters, they go through the fake haunted houses at the attractions to be scared. But this is serious business. The energies that we are contacting on these investigations are very real. And, here I am. I'm on live radio, folks. They're real. I'm telling you because I've experienced it. You have to be careful. Don't antagonize. Don't take things home from an investigation. And, according to your faith, always wear some form of protection. Even prayers of protection are good. Don't learn the hard way like we did. Be careful because, it's fun and games. Like, what Greg just said is true. It's fun and games until it's not. And so, I couldn't have said it better.
And we had experience at the event that we did this last weekend where I think a couple did not understand fully what they're getting into, and it didn't turn out well for them. And I don't know where they're at, to be honest. But the thing is, it's like you have to. I always wonder, Bobby, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I always thought those who don't believe that there are those after effects to an investigation or speaking with spirit, I don't necessarily know if they actually truly believe.
Well, it's a great question. I could tell you this, and there's actually an investigation detailed in Family Spirits 2 called Lafayette in the Haunted Pet Shop, where we did our first public investigation, which we actually invited the public to investigate with us. It was packed, but we went into this allegedly haunted pet shop. And as soon as the communication started coming through the ITC device, that's instrumental transcommunication device for, those who were listening that don't know, one of the people in the audience started freaking out.
Yeah.
He wasn't prepared for it. It was a gentleman. He wasn't prepared for it. He did not know what to expect. I think he may have come in as a skeptic, but as soon as he heard this with his own ears, he knew it was real. And he literally said, and you can hear this on the episode, I am freaking out over here. And he had to leave. Yeah.
We had some odd energy Saturday night, and we had people leaving, and that's not the type of culture we want for our events. But the thing is, it's like, you gotta protect, you gotta take care of yourself. And, in your case at that event, as well as the case in my event, along with Shar, our jobs is to look out for those people too. Like, that we gotta, we're scanning these people. There is one that was just kind of sitting in a corner, and I went up to her. I'm like, are you okay? Those are things that you have to watch out for, because this is serious. We do everything in our power to protect everybody, but sometimes things happen, and it always happens to the people who are just very laissez-faire about what spirit can actually do.
And I think there's some intuition there, because when people hear a communication coming through a device, they know intuitively whether it's a fake phone app or it's something real. They just know it. It's the way the spirit will enunciate. It's the inflection. It's the message. When somebody, it really clicks that they're really speaking to a spirit, some people are not prepared for it.
Now, and obviously, we would love to have people buy the book. And I think another great example as to why people should buy the book, let alone talking about that, you're talking about this, like you said, you got some very noted people in the book that you interviewed. They're talking about this stuff. These aren't people who've just done it for a week or so. They've been doing it for years. They're noted. You might see them on different sort of media areas that really you could kind of check them out. So, once again, this is another example why this book does a really good job of giving you a grand picture.
It does. We have Archbishop Christina Rake, who
we're going to have on next week. Yes.
Oh my God. You're going. Oh, she's
a good friend. Yeah. She's a good friend.
one of my favorite people in the paranormal. She did a great interview. We have a cinematic bad guy who was also a psychic medium, Kevin Kincaid in there, Sylvia Rossi. There's a lot of psychic mediums out there, but me personally, she had a profound effect on my life, which I detail in the book, with my departed father. Stories, we don't have enough time to go into it, but there's a lot of people in the book. A Reverend Sean Whittington, who was now a cast member of the Legion of Exorcists.
And you're on his show Friday, right?
I'm on his show Friday, exactly. And he says hi, by the way.
Oh, well, tell him I say, because apparently we can't talk to each other. So yeah, say hi to him for me too.
He's a super guy.
He is. Now we're running out of time, Bobby. Where can we get the book?
Okay. Family Spirits 2 is only available through Barnes & Noble. So you cannot find it on Amazon. This was exclusive through Barnes & Noble. They made us a deal and we accepted, but it is exclusive through Barnes & Noble. So you go to bn.com, type in Family Spirits 2, Bobby J Gallo, it'll come right up. Or we have a link directly off of ghosthunter.ws.
And you got to check out that web series, folks, ghosthunter.ws. Bobby J Gallo, thank you so very much for joining me tonight. It's been fun. Let's get you back on, okay?
I would love to. Thanks, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have on Miriam Faresh, One Question Readings. Everyone, have a fantastic evening.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The House Republican plan would cut spending by